brother, 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 brother. I feel like I lost the muster on that, brothers.
You did, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you started off strong and then kind of slipped by the wayside there.
Yeah.
It is Thursday, June 2nd. Wild to think it is already June. We are almost halfway through the year.
Yeah.
And it is another episode of the Deep Six Wrestling Podcast. It is the Impact Power Hour. I'm Ryan.
I'm Angelo.
And yeah, Angelo, you had an eventful weekend that just occurred.
Yeah, I guess so. Call it eventful.
Yeah. He went into Double or Nothing as Deep Six champ. He did a punishment from one of the previous predictions that he lost. How was your mukbang?
It was not great. It was less quantity than the first one, but the food was so much worse. So
that is true. Yeah.
But I wasn't in like as much pain as the first one because
fair.
There was just so much volume after the first one. I was like actually writhing in pain. This one was like a slow burn where like the food was terrible and then it's like, oh, this is not good.
So that video, if it's not already out on the YouTube already, it should be out soon. Once we do some playful editing. Or once Pat does playful editing, because that's what his many jobs here is. But Angelo ended up not coming out of Double or Nothing as champ anymore.
Nope.
Did you in fact lose Double or Nothing?
I in fact lost, and I'm like sad because I didn't like have hot takes really.
No,
it was just poor. I mean, surprises really.
Yeah.
A lot of splits, and I just went the wrong way.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah. But yeah, we are here tonight to talk about Impact, the episode that just happened. But before we get into that, just some quick Impact news. The Best of Super Juniors tournament is over in New Japan. Ace had a pretty good showing. He finished near the top half of his bracket. He finished with 10 points, so 5 wins. Finished 5-4. So not bad, especially for his first time ever being there. Got over like huge.
So he came off real hot to start and then cooled off.
Yeah. He kind of fell apart towards the end of this tournament. He only had 1 loss in his first, I think, 6 matches, and then he lost his last 3. He lost to Sho. He lost to Hiromu early on in the tournament. He lost to Gucci. And he lost to Francesco Akira, or Akira, however they pronounce it, because he's Italian. And commentary kept on calling him Akira or Akira throughout the tournament. But yeah, Hiromu has asked for a title shot for the X Division. And commentary said that that has been granted whenever Hiromu comes to America. And then Taguchi has asked for a title shot, because he wants to make the X Division the ass division. Because if you are not aware of Taguchi, he is a big fan of using his butt to win matches. And in this, to beat Ace, he pulled down his pants and sat his butt right on Ace's face for the win.
Shameful.
Yeah. And he also did call out Ultimate X, saying he wanted to make it Ultimate Ass as well.
Oh no!
But I don't think Taguchi does not seem the person to be put into Ultimate X. Again, he's not. He's one of the older men. It'd be very odd to see him in this.
Especially if he's promising he's just going to pull his pants down.
Yeah. I think he'd get over with the U.S. crowds with him just taking his bum out all the time.
Maybe he can come out in the same bit as Shark Boy.
Yeah, there you go.
That seems to be the category of wrestler he would be in Impact Wrestling.
Hey man, he's a champion. He is the junior tag champ currently.
Wow. Okay.
With Master Watto. They are the 69th junior champs. Oh no, the 69th junior champs, tag champs. He was also the 69th tag or junior champion, so he loves that number 69.
Yeah, very fitting.
He says that it rules his life. Him and Master Watto's tag team name is 6 or 9. And they got a lot of shirts with the 69 because of course. Gotta love it. Yeah. But yeah, Ace really over. Did play the babyface for most of the tournament, which was very odd considering, again, talked about how in Impact, I'm pretty sure he's only been a heel. But it was getting up in the crowd, giving high fives to the crowd, waving the babies, things like that. Trying to get the crowd to get as loud as they could, even without them being able to cheer and stuff like that. And a lot of the times this tournament was basically the New Japan crowd being like, we're going to push the envelope of what we can do with the restrictions. And a lot of the time when Ace was doing his one-handed handstands and his reversals, and even the fold the first few times, there were actual audible gasps and cheers for it. So, he got real over.
That's what matters most.
Yeah. He also will have one more match in Japan at the Best of Super Juniors final. He is in a tag match. Okay. Basically all the people that didn't make it are in tag matches. And there's one match that's just like 8 of them, I think. And then the other ones are like sprinkled in other places. But yeah, Ace had a good tournament. Good stuff for him. The other piece of information or news for Impact is apparently W. Morrissey is done with Impact Wrestling, as me and Angelo had hinted that we believed he was going to be on his way out, with AEW and WWE seemingly interested in him. It seemed like, he'd be on the up and up, going for something bigger, something possibly better. Apparently tonight was his last match that they'd taped, according to Andrew Zarian of Mat Men Pro Wrestling Podcast.
Can't wait to see him in GCW going forward.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't say where he's going to go, but I don't think AEW is in his future, just because AEW is already crowded and they've already got a lot of big men. I do think if he is going to go somewhere, probably would be WWE.
Yeah, like you said, Ryan, we kind of expected him to go to greener pastures. It's sooner rather than later. So it makes sense. It's a shame we're not going to see him anymore, but he's going to get paid well, very handsomely, wherever he goes.
Oh, for sure. And if he keeps himself in as good a shape as he has been and is, doing good promo work still, the sky's the limit for him, because he's been fantastic. But
going to TNA to resurrect your career is done for Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. John Morrison, to some extent. He won a world championship there. Yeah,
but then he went back to WWE to not be relevant. I'm more speaking, the positive upward trajectory.
That's true.
Morrison went back to just being in the same tag team he was in 12 years ago.
And just being obsessed with water.
Yeah, which, granted, Miz and Morrison was one of my favorite tag teams as a kid. It just didn't click well, on the second rendition when they're both like 40 years old.
And one of them is positioned as somebody who, they care about, and the other one is John Morrison.
Right.
Before we get into anything, just a reminder follow us on social media at Deep Six Wrestling without the G at the end, on Twitter. Subscribe to the podcast on any of the different platforms. We are on basically all the major podcast platforms at this point, as well as subscribe to the YouTube at Deep Six Wrestling. All these are free. You can leave us a review, a rating. All of it helps us out. So yeah, going into Impact, we start off with another video package, basically showing off what happened last week with the main event with Josh Alexander and the Briscoes versus Violent by Design. But then we got into the old school Impact TNA opening. Angelo, you said that it brought back memories.
This was the one I remembered. Like that was the theme song that I remembered from my childhood. The first week it was a little, I guess, too early for me. And this was like, oh yeah, that was Don West screaming and Mike Tenay and Taz also on commentary. Like those were the moments I remember.
Yeah. We start off the show with Savannah versus Mia Yim. Deonna Purrazzo comes out first to join commentary. Matt Rehwoldt is not on commentary for most of tonight because he is preparing for his return to the ring against Rich Swann tonight. Deonna basically plays the role of the heel commentator, just running down Mia Yim and basically everybody else who's going to be in the tournament or in the Queen of the Mountain match. We did get a rundown of what the rules are for King of the Mountain and Queen of the Mountain matches. I've never seen a King of the Mountain match. This sounds like a clusterfuck and a half. With them, like, you start out on the outside, you get pinfalls and submissions. If you get pinned, you go in a penalty box for a few minutes, and then you have to go and climb a ladder and put the belt on top, or like hang the belt up. So it's basically like a reverse Money in the Bank or ladder match. It just sounds very confusing and very silly.
We'll have to watch one of the old pay-per-views to get a King of the Mountain match.
Yeah,
I'm not familiar.
Yeah, I know that they had a King of the Mountain title as well for a few years.
Yes.
I really hope they didn't defend it exclusively in King of the Mountain matches, because that just sounds like a lot.
It might have been possible. No, I doubt they did that. That would have been ridiculous. It was defended weekly. It was a TV King of the Mountain title.
Oh god. It was a 24/7 title.
You ever watch championship scramble matches, WWE?
Yes.
Yeah, those were messes as well.
Yeah.
Brian Kendrick was if you consider that those title changes championships, then Brian Kendrick, I think, has a title.
Yeah, I 100% count them as title things, because I'm pretty sure, like, at least in some of them, like whenever the pinfall happened, like the announcer would say over it, like, and he's now the champion, and
right, they would announce him as champion, but WWE doesn't recognize them as.
That's silly.
Yeah,
don't announce them as champions if they're not actual champions.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, for real. This match was fine. I think it got to show off a lot of what Mia Yim can do. For people who haven't seen her in a bit. Savannah, again, not the smoothest in ring. Like, at one point, Mia threw her out of the ring, and Savannah looked like she like hit her head on the rope and then like tried to readjust herself to get out. It did not look as smooth. But I didn't think this was a bad match at all. It just definitely was not the, I guess, the hottest start you could start with, considering how Impact, for the most part, normally tries to start shows off with like a very hot match.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, I think it's also interesting. Tasha, for the most part, stayed out of this. She does try to get herself involved right at the end, with her, putting her hands on Mia's hair as Mia's trying to get back in, and the ref is checking on Savannah. But Jordynne Grace immediately runs down, takes Tasha out, and Mia wins with the eat the feet. And Deonna does not get involved, which Tom says he's very shocked at.
So is eat the feet always Mia Yim's finisher now, or is that just homage to Gail Kim?
So she's, at least in NXT, she always used it. She just called it something different.
Okay, that makes sense. I'm like, no way they called it eat the feet all the time.
Yeah, and like I'm trying to remember. Like, I believe, I don't know if this is another move she does, but she has a move called Protect Your Neck, homage to the Wu-Tang Clan. I think that's the same move because, it does go to your neck.
Yeah.
But it might be a different move. Like
kind of got that same, like, feel on the mouth.
Yeah.
Protect your neck, eat the feet. Yeah.
Yeah. After this, we go backstage to a previously recorded thing from earlier tonight where Eddie Edwards is just hanging out in front of a door. It looked like it's like a door to leave the building. And Shark Boy shows up.
My man.
And asks Eddie, and he's like, Eddie, you weren't one of the original people in Impact, but like you've been here for a while, and now you've turned your back on Impact. What are you doing? And Eddie doesn't like this. He grabs Shark Boy by the.
No one really likes getting advice from Shark Boy.
Are you telling me that you wouldn't want some advice from Shark Boy?
I would occasionally pay for the life advice from Shark Boy via Cameo.
Okay.
I guess I shouldn't complain.
That's fair. So he gets Shark Boy, puts him against the wall. He's like, oh, don't get into this. Impact asked for this. They turn their back on me. The fans turn their back on me. And then out of nowhere comes Wildcat Chris Harris, who's looking a little bit better than he did the last time we saw him on Impact. And again, runs down Eddie. Again, says, you weren't here originally, but you've got Impact in your blood. What changed? All this, and Eddie's just like, get out of my business, and then he leaves. But then he'd come back later in the night because I don't know, Moore had stuff to do. But yeah, good to see they're continuing on this 20 years stuff with bringing back some legends of the business of the Impact days and the TNA days during this.
Yeah, indeed. I'm all for it.
Yeah. If you had to bring back somebody else in this, I mean, I guess we can talk about that.
I don't want to answer it here.
That's fair. All right, we'll get to it. After this, we get the Influence walking into the undead realm, and asking Rosemary, it seems they like what she did with the place, but it seems less deadly now that Havoc is gone. Asking where if she's remembering her since she just has Havoc's mask, hinting that Havoc is gone.
Is she gone?
I don't know.
Yeah, she lost the match.
Yeah. Rosemary does not like this, tells them to leave, and the Influence say, hey, you know what, we got you a present. It's sparkly makeup to fix your face. And Rosemary comes down off the ladder that she's hanging out on, and says, you guys are going to need that when I bite your faces off. And Madison says, you shouldn't be saying that when there's two of us and only one of you. There is no we anymore. And then Crazy Steve and Black Truth show up, and the Influence leave.
This is an opening for, another like TNA original to step in and help her, or Taya.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It could be Taya. That's what Pat thinks is gonna happen. He thinks Taya is gonna show up.
Oh, really? Pat doesn't think that Crazy Steve's gonna pull an 2010 Eric Young and.
Yeah, he was very disappointed that I said in the group chat, oh boy, time for Crazy Steve and Rosemary to win the Knockouts tag titles.
Right.
He was not a fan of that. He was like, Ty is gonna come back for it.
That's all. It's
like,
true homage to Eric Young.
Yeah, exactly. Eric Young's in the main event.
Going for the title. What better way to respect him than have another man win the Knockouts titles and then have him get absolutely burned to the ground?
Yeah, exactly. After this, we get Kenny King versus Blake Christian. Again, Kenny putting up his spot in Ultimate X for this match. If Blake can beat him, he gets the spot. Trey Miguel is on commentary, and I'm just going to say this. Maybe it wasn't as bad for you. I thought Trey Miguel was the most annoying person that they had on commentary tonight.
Well, we kind of know he's not the strongest on the mic. So, yeah. I mean, going into it, honestly, I was like, oh, like, I get it. He's, it makes sense because he's supposed to be Blake Christian's friend. But otherwise, yeah, I wasn't, like, interested in.
Yeah, he kept on talking about how Honor No More are window shoppers. And when Tom asked him what a window shopper is, he says, they watch the product, but they can't afford the product. And so they just look outside, make sure the coast is clear, and then steal it. And that's what they always do. That's what everybody in Honor No More does. And he just kept on repeating this throughout the show. And then when Kenny King ends up winning, he's like, oh, he's a window shopper, but he can afford the product. I was like, bro, he didn't need to commit to this bit this hard.
No. Well, I am happy with the outcome of the match.
Yes.
Like we were saying, like, yeah, Blake Christian's good, but to just pull this away from Kenny King would be upsetting. So, it looks like there's some momentum now for Kenny King.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and also, this was a really good match. Like, extremely good match. I thought this should have been the start of the show, just because of how good this match was.
That would have been the normal way to go for Impact.
Yeah, throw out an X Division match that's going to be hot, get the fans really invested. There was a lot of chanting for Blake Christian, so the crowd knew who he was, which is good. And yeah, Kenny King ends up winning with the Royal Flush, and then Rehwoldt. Tom says he has an announcement on who the 5th member of the Ultimate X match is, and we get a video package of Jack Evans coming in for the 5th spot. Jack Evans, formerly of AEW.
Yeah, he's not signed with AEW anymore.
He left. He left it. He did not re-sign with the company.
Yeah.
So yeah, Jack Evans comes on in, 20-year vet.
And I mean, he has some X Division experience.
Right.
He was in that way back when they tried to revitalize the X Division. He won a triple threat on TNA Wrestling on a Thursday night episode, and then he was in the Fatal 4-Way that Austin Aries ended up winning to win a contract.
Okay.
So like, I was a little sad that they didn't show any like highlights of that, and they just showed his like AEW highlights because he does have a small, albeit small, Impact history.
Okay. Yeah, I thought that he's been in Impact before, but I wasn't 100% sure. But good to know that.
Yeah,
that
when I was a kid and I saw that 720, I was like, "This is awesome." I instantly fell in love, and he wasn't unfortunately one of the ones that like stuck around. Like Zema Ion didn't win the Fatal 4-Way, but he basically became a mainstay of the X Division. Like Jack Evans didn't stick around.
Okay,
which was a shame.
So yeah, apparently Jack Evans has been has come to Impact twice before. He's had 2 like little runs in Impact. He was in it in 2004 as an original part of Team Canada.
Makes sense.
Brought in by Scott D'Amore.
Team Canada, looking at it historically, is pretty stacked.
Yeah. Even though should be noted, Jack Evans is American, not Canadian.
Yeah.
And he was brought in for the 2004 American X Cup and the World X Cup of 2004 as well. And also was in an Ultimate X match between Team Canada and Team USA, with Team Canada being Johnny Devine, Petey Williams, Teddy Hart, and Jack Evans versus Jerry Lynn, Chris Sabin, Christopher Daniels, and Elix Skipper.
Oof, that's a good lineup.
Yeah. And then he came back in 2011.
Right, so that's what
for that triple threat match against Jesse Sorensen and Tony Nese.
I thought it was Tony Nese. Jesse Sorensen was a mainstay.
Yeah,
he stuck around for a bit.
Yeah, I think Jesse Sorensen ended up having to retire due to a neck injury.
He was the one that broke his neck.
Yeah, it was Zema Ion.
Yep.
And then lost in the finals of the Destination X tournament against Austin Aries. He was
unfortunately like just the guy. I'm thinking of it now, like almost like a poor man's Matt Sydal in the sense that he never had character development on anything I've watched.
Yeah.
You know, like AEW, he never really had a moment to like have a character, and those, you know, the Team Canada stuff, and then the X Division, you know, get a contract thing. Like he was never there to build a character. It was just like, look, this guy could do 720s.
Yeah.
So, you know, great talent, but I've never seen like the full wrestler from him.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. So yeah, this is Jack Evans' first real big thing that's been announced. Other than he did get announced for over the weekend, he got announced for Progress's tournament, Strong Style Evolves 16 or whatever it's called. He's facing Johnny Progress.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
So two big announcements in the span of a few days for him. So
good bookings.
Yeah. Hopefully this isn't the end of Jack Evans. It's not just like a one-off appearance, because as Pat pointed out when it happened, he said that he thinks Jack Evans would bring some experience, some good matches to the X Division, and give another big name or bigger name to the X Division that kind of needs some more established names into it.
Yeah, it would be cool to see that, but just based historically, he seems to be like a lone wolf type of performer.
That's fair.
He doesn't stick around long, so
yeah, depends on what he wants to do, considering his age.
Yeah, he might want some stability.
Yeah, he might be winding down the clock here. After this, we get a backstage segment with W. Morrissey and Bhupinder. Bhupinder again thanking Morrissey for helping him and getting the win last week, and then also saying, you know, if you need some backup tonight, I know you guys have a big match, but I'm willing to be at ringside for you. And then all of a sudden you just hear PCO scream Morrissey's name. And they just pan the camera to PCO, just like rocking back and forth, banging on a table. And Morrissey's just like, I think I'm good.
Yeah.
After this, we get Matt Rehwoldt versus Rich Swann. Considering Matt Rehwoldt does not wrestle all the time anymore, and has said that this is most likely his final year of being an in-ring competitor, I thought he looked pretty good.
Do we know why?
I think it's just injuries.
Yeah,
he's had a lot of them.
Looks like he was thinner too. I know he was always like not like a bulky.
Yeah.
But he looked thinner this time too, so maybe the injuries are finally.
Yeah, and also like I think the thinning might also could be because he's not wrestling as much anymore. He might not be like always getting into like match shape all the time.
Yeah,
if he's going to be transitioning fully to commentator or backstage roles.
He knows he's transitioning fully. I guess that makes sense because for me, like you know, usually if you're working out and you're still like in that wrestling business, you're just gonna keep up with a routine. But if it maybe combination of you know he has injuries and he's really not looking to be in the ring full time, then that makes sense.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting that they went as long as they did and had Matt like kind of be in control of this match for most of it. It felt like there were parts where Rich Swann would take control, but it felt like it was more sustained for Matt. But Matt just kept on getting his eye off the ball with just trying to talk as much trash as possible. while he was beating up on Rich Swann, which kind of made Swann like hulk up basically and get stronger and take control of the match afterwards.
Right.
Matt kept on saying, Rich, you're not a real digital media champion. You don't deserve anything. You're worthless. And yeah, this ended up being the downfall, and Rich Swann picks up the win. Should be noted, Rich Swann is your digital media champion. After this weekend, he beat Matt Cardona. They did show the ending of this match at Wrestling Revolver. But then Matt Cardona beat him up, him with a low blow, and stole the title and walked out of it. And is still claiming online that he is still the champion and that Wrestling Revolver screwed him. And so he doesn't. He still claims to be the champ. There was some worry that he tore his bicep this weekend, and he's been announced for a bunch of stuff with Game Changer Wrestling for the next few weeks. They have one of them, which is like if he can compete, but then everything else is like set in, like they don't have that caveat on there. So maybe it's like not as bad as he originally thought, or they originally thought, but it does seem like he, at least for now, it doesn't seem like it's torn or anything like that.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. So hopefully, because I'm assuming at Slammiversary we'll get the rematch, but for Swann and Cardona.
Yeah, no, it'll be a solid match, maybe a pre-show.
Yeah,
it's getting pretty stacked.
That's true. Yeah, definitely feels like it could be the pre-show because it is the Digital Media Championship, and that was like the whole thing was it was going to be defended on YouTube and everything.
Right.
So after this, we get little reminiscence of what happened on BTI. It was the highlight of Alicia Edwards versus Renee Michelle, and Jesus Christ, that was a horrible finish. They literally looked like she like snapped her Renee Michelle's like neck, and she just like kind of like slowly went limp.
Yeah, that didn't look great.
Yeah.
From the limited stuff we've seen in Renee Michelle, I've been interested. She seems fine, but anything like with Alicia Edwards doesn't really get my interest.
Agreed. And that is why we did not watch BTI.
Yeah.
But the main thing coming out of this is apparently Masha Slamovich came out afterwards with a picture of Alicia with an X in blood on it. This would play into after this. Alicia's with Gia, and she shows it to the camera. And Giselle Shaw shows up, and it's just like, oh yeah. She tries to make a joke about like it's art, and then she's like, no, she wants to kill you. I'm not getting involved. Pat wanted me to note that as long as Masha isn't squashing Giselle, he's totally fine with her squashing Alicia because it's an established name.
It's an established name, but it's super low-hanging fruit.
Yeah. After this, we get the Good Brothers coming out for a promo. Basically, this is one of those promos that the Good Brothers tend to cut every few months of them just running down their accomplishments and why they're so important. But this time, adding some extra flavors about how they sold out Madison Square Garden so many times. They've done shows at the sold out O2 Arena in England. They even sold out a show in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia where they were given a trophy naming them the greatest tag team of all time. Shouting out whatever Saudi show it was where they won the tournament to crown the greatest tag team of all time in WWE.
That's true. That's kind of funny.
That was never brought up ever again after they won it. And then they wanted to run down, since it's coming up to Slammiversary, they wanted to run down the 10 greatest moments of the Good Brothers in Impact history. And the first one is their debut. The second one is them winning the title the first time. The next one is them winning the title another time. And then after that, it's just every time they beat their match at multiverse of matches, and they just run back the same ending over and over and over again. And we get to the number one spot, and they say, "Oh, and before we and our number one is," and the Briscoes music hits. They hit the ring. They run down the Good Brothers a bit, and then they just brawl. The Good Brothers say that number one was also going to be them beating the Briscoes. And yeah, also Good Brothers also talked about how, the Briscoes like to talk about how they've won like tons and tons of gold, but there's like, it's all small promotions that they win them in, and they win things like the apple bobbing competition at their local state fair.
Yeah.
They're the tag team champs of potato sack racing in Delaware. Basically running down how, they're big guys. They've been in big companies, and the Briscoes have always been like the smaller guys in the smaller company in Ring of Honor for forever and ever, and doing indie dates all the time. So yeah, I thought this was a fine segment. It just went way too long.
I had a chuckle. I laughed.
Yeah, there was some chuckles. Chuckles were involved. Oh, yeah. And also Carl Anderson asked the crowd how his skinny jeans looked.
You're right.
Which,
talk to me.
As I told Pat asked how I thought they looked, and I said, as good as they can for a 40-year-old man wearing skinny jeans.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. After this, we get a Josh Alexander promo. He's talking about how, he thinks Eric Young does deserve this. He's been with Impact since the beginning, basically. He's done it all. He's won every title. And anybody would look up to Eric Young's career in Impact and want that similar career, being able to win everything. So he knows that for the next few weeks, he has to prep. He has to get ready for it.
By everything, he really means, including the women's knockout tag team.
Yeah, Josh Alexander for knockouts tag champions.
Book it.
Yeah. He is interrupted by Diener, who's like chuckles at him and says, "Oh, you need to be ready." And then Joe Doring comes in and grunts at him. And Eric and Diener come from behind and surround him. Josh starts brawling with all of them. And they get pulled apart, and Eric says he's going to kill him. He wants to rip them apart. Yeah. Tom would then run down the next slate of shows for Impact that they have tickets for, including the announcement that Against All Odds is their next Impact Plus / YouTube Insiders show. It is scheduled for Friday, July 1st, and it will be live on those platforms. Odd decision to do a Friday night live show, Yeah. Saturday, the July 2nd, is Money in the Bank. So it's the day before that, but that Sunday is wide open. So I don't know why you wouldn't have done it that Sunday.
Well, then that would have been 4th of July.
That would have been, yeah, I guess that's why.
Yeah, so they want to skip that.
That's fair. Or no, it would have been the 3rd of July.
It would have been the 3rd. Okay.
Yeah. I just think it's like, I don't know how many people are going to tune off from SmackDown and Rampage to watch an Impact Plus show.
Yeah, it might be a little tough on their buys.
Yeah. But who knows? After this, Josh is back with Scott, and he demands a match with Joe Doring next week. Scott is hesitant because he says, you should be just focusing on Eric Young. Why would you want to go against somebody who's undefeated in almost 2 years of being here? And he says, this will get me prepped. This will get me ready for Eric. I'll get to, if I can beat somebody who's been undefeated and not pinned in all these times, then I should be ready for him. And Scott says, okay, you've got it, but then focus on Eric afterwards. After this, we get the OG Kingdom versus Heath and Rhino. Eddie is on commentary, and he talks about how, everybody's out to get Honor No More. Should be known that all of Honor No More did come out for this, but then went backstage besides Eddie and the OG Kingdom, including PCO. This would be important for later because there was an attack afterwards of all Honor No More attacking Heath and Rhino, including PCO again, who I would say would be a heel thing to do. But then the main event was him being a babyface.
Right. I'm very confused with this role here. They
Yes.
need to separate him.
Yes.
I know
he is still the only person in Honor No More that doesn't come out to Honor No More's theme. He has his own Titan draw and everything. Just separate them.
You've been saying this for a while. They gotta he either needs to be a heel with Honor No More or just be his own thing.
Yeah.
Because not both. It doesn't make sense. It's the same guy.
Yeah. It's bizarre. This is a fine match. The crowd was really was really excited for Rhino to get his hot tag. He ends up getting pinned.
Rhino getting hot tags in 2022?
Always a good time. Always a good time. That crowd loves that.
Yeah.
After the match, all of Honor No More jump in, beat up Heath and Rhino, and then they wrap Rhino's leg in a chair and start wailing on it before Frankie Kazarian, Chris Sabin, and Alex Shelley run in and make the save. We then go back. They kind of do the cut for commercial, and they're back behind the arena with Rhino getting loaded onto an ambulance with Heath by his side. And Scott tells Shelley, Sabin, and Kazarian that at Slammiversary they get all of Honor No More other than Kenny King, since he's already scheduled for a match that night. But that they need to find two partners, and they have to be Impact through and through. They can either be currently with Impact, or they can be Impact original TNA originals, former Impact people that still bleed Impact. But it's up to them. And Kazarian, Sabin, and Shelley say they already know who they want. Angelo, I guess this is the point where I'm going to ask, who would you say these two people should be?
Well, now, so that we saw the Wildcat Chris Harris earlier,
yeah,
I'm thinking he's going to be one of them, and then you get James Storm for the other guy.
Ooh.
Because, what is he doing these days? I get he's not in Impact because he's pretty much done everything in Impact already.
Yeah.
So to have him in the fold on a regular, I guess, doesn't make so much sense, but I think he's a logical choice for Slammiversary. If he's not available, I'd be pretty surprised, and then maybe I'd say Christopher Daniels.
Okay. So I'm pretty sure this is the thing that Pat has spoiled for me, because he said that I would never guess this return in a million years.
Okay, so
and I'm still very after this segment, Pat explained a little bit more, and he was just like, "Oh yeah, so if that's the case, it's going to be these two who are going to be it." And I was like, why? And Pat was like, I don't know, but I think it's next week that you get this. So,
oh boy,
yeah.
Okay.
After this, we get the rundown of what happens next week. We've got Joe Doring and Josh Alexander, Eddie Edwards, Matt Taven, and Mike Bennett versus Kazarian, Shelley, and Sabin. Tennille versus Rosemary, and maybe Alicia versus Masha next week. Maybe I don't know. Just because the last time Masha called somebody out, the next week she had her match, so I was thinking maybe that's the case for this. But who knows?
Right.
but only 3 matches announced this week instead of the normal like 4 or 5 they announced. So I'm assuming we'll find out more throughout the week. This leads us to our main event. It is W. Morrissey and PCO versus Maclin and Moose. This was basically just 4 big guys beating the crap out of each other. Big sweaty men slapping meat together.
Absolutely.
And it was all in good fun. I think everybody enjoyed this. Everybody looked good. Maclin was got the rub here.
He really did. Yeah.
He got to pin Morrissey not with his mayhem for all, because there's no way he was going to get Morrissey up for that. But being able to adapt and him with the DDT, win, and then get in Morrissey's face and yell at him some more.
They looked like they were about to kiss.
Yeah, that's what I said. I'm glad I'm not the only one who thought that's what was going to happen.
They were very close to kissing.
Yeah, that I've never seen somebody get that close without kissing on the forehead or on the lips.
It was right on the lips. Looked like it was gonna be. I miss you so much. I'm gonna miss you. Good luck in WWE. Let me give you a smooch.
Yeah, let me get that smoochy smooch. PCO gets Maclin out of the way, lays him out, throws him out of the ring, turns around. Moose lays him out with the lights out spear. He starts celebrating. The lights go out. Who comes out? It's Sami Callihan with the bat. Crowd goes wild. Crowd is chanting welcome back, even though he's been back for like several weeks at this point.
Yeah.
And Moose goes for the lights out spear, and he just gets bonked on the head with the baseball bat.
Love that.
I thought that was a great spot. And then Sami yells in the ring, saying that anytime he comes out here, he's got a date with the Death Machine. And then Sami Callihan's old theme comes on. His Death Machine theme comes on. So apparently every week he's just going to have a different theme as well.
Yeah.
And then he says it again just to the camera that every time that Moose comes out here, he'll be coming out here as well to beat him up. And yeah, that's how the show ends. What would you give this show, Angelo?
I would actually give this like a thumbs in the middle. It wasn't the strongest of wrestling shows.
I agree. It felt like this was much more like a weird, like somewhat story driven, but also not at the same time.
Yeah, it felt like a lead up to the pay-per-view, but we still have some time.
Yeah.
So it should have been stronger wrestling.
Yeah, and like it's not like they added any matches to the card tonight.
No.
Everything was just like building for TV matches, which felt weird.
And I guess the hamper down on the Jack Evans thing again. So like just selecting him, that means we didn't get like a special, qualification match.
Yeah.
And he's not really a guy that he's never held the X Division title. You just said he's been around just kind of in spurts in Impact. So I guess it's a little disappointing in the sense that you're giving an auto spot to a guy, albeit very talented, someone that doesn't really have like a big Impact history. I mean, you didn't even hint at it in the video packages. So.
Yeah.
So
yeah. That is true.
It would have been better if you could have had him, just face someone else and actually qualify. That's fine, but to just give him the spot felt weird. He's not really, in my eyes, above anyone else in the match. So,
yeah, I agree 100% with that. There's still one more person that needs to be announced for this. If they're not going to do another qualifier, I would guess this would be a spot for a New Japan guy. Whether it's somebody who beat Ace in the tournament, like Francesco Akira, who's young, he's very fast, he's very agile. Feels like that would be a good spot for him. Like he doesn't have to take a loss because it's a multi-man match. But also it could be somebody like an El Phantasmo or even a like somebody else in New Japan, because they'll be starting to come over for Forbidden Door, since Forbidden Door is the week after. So it'll be interesting to see who the final spot is. But yeah, overall, I'd also give it thumbs in the middle, as you said. But yeah, we will be back next week for another episode of the Impact Power Hour. Make sure to keep up to date with our other podcasts. Pat should have one more podcast for Best of Super Juniors for the final. Talk about who wins it this weekend, because it is Friday. And so tomorrow. And yeah, other than that,
rest before he wakes up early in the morning to watch.
I'm not sure if he's gonna wake up early and watch it live. I'm not sure. I think this might be a 6 o'clock or 6:30 start.
Oof.
So it might not all be that bad.
Okay.
Or he might watch it during the day and review it right after. But yeah, apparently it's been getting some good viewership numbers on the YouTube and on the podcast streams. So
great.
Good stuff. So yeah, thank you guys for listening, and we will talk to you next time.
Thanks for listening.